Hello, I'm Jessica Henry.
And I'm Daniel Hill-Riedel, and we are the founders of Renaissance Creative Arts.
Today I am introducing a short video series here, and we'll be moving through different facial features with some of these short videos here.
So as soon as Jessica is finished with this demo, we're going to give you some very detailed information about our new program that we just launched called Painting the Portrait with Jessica Henry. It is a video lesson with a companion workbook, very much like our program from Tuscany to Tipperary that we launched last year. And we're very excited about it, not only because of the value and of that program itself and the response we're getting, but when you sign up for that program, you also get 2 free bonus gifts, bonus lessons. So we want you to know all the detail on that, and we'll give that to you as soon as she's finished with the demo.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
See you then. Okay, so what I've done here, getting back to all this, is I've cut my canvas. I've drawn just a T here just so I can kind of see it in 3 parts. I'm going to put the eyes up here, and then I'm just going to kind of work on noses here and talk about how I deal with some of these angles and different features to that. And then I'm going to just put a mouth here and kind of how I work around different folds and tucks and losing edges and all that. All right, so it's going to be kind of fun, feeling a little bit relaxed, and I hope you guys are too. Got my good paper towel. I'm just going to take, I just have a little size 2, and I use this just for drawing in. I don't draw in with a pencil because it's a lot easier for me just to move it around on here with my brush and my turpentine. So yes, this is my daughter. She's my live model today. It's going to be fun. If you followed me for a while, you know that she's my model. I have her model for me a lot. To begin with, I'm just going to use a little bit of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. For my palette today, I have on my, ooh, we're narrow, aren't we? Okay, I have alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Not going to use the cad red today, not very much. Yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, and titanium white. Okay, so I'm just using a thin down mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna with a little bit of odorless mineral spirits. So let's see, Ab, why don't I have you just kind of look just sort of at me like that? All right, so I'm just going to put one of her eyes right here and just talk a little bit about what I'm looking for when I'm painting eyes. And I had mentioned, in case you're not familiar, we just released here with Renaissance Creative Arts our portrait video, and it just came out today, so we're excited about it. And in that video, I had a segment where I was talking about painting eyes, and you know, let's jump into this here right now. I'm going to show you real quick. I've got the top part of my skull. I had my skull in the video, and as we're working on these eyes, I want to just call attention to the top and bottom lid, how they are layered on the eyeball in like a piece of clay. And I've always kind of thought of that when you're painting the skin around the eyeball, to think about a piece of clay wrapping around a marble, okay? So that's what I'm going to think about as I'm painting this eye, because you've got a highlight right in the middle, and then it fades off on either side, okay? So I'm just going to get her eye straight on, and just get the, first I'm drawing it in place, and then I'll start talking about the edges and what we lose and highlights and so forth. Okay, just fix a spot. This line here on top of the eye and this line here going up to the tear duct are typically parallel. And then these two, the lower eyelid here and the upper eyelid here, are typically parallel also, and these lines tuck into the top lid here. Okay, so we're coming down to the tear duct right here, and then the line comes this way and this swoops up. And then when I was talking about the clay, always think about the top lid as being a piece of clay over the bottom lid. Okay, and these are things I'm talking about in the video too. Painting the portrait. You can go to renaissancecreativearts.com to get all kinds of more information on that, and I'll talk about it here while we're going along. I am going to slip her eyebrow in here too because eyebrows are very defining of the whole eye socket shape, and I want to make sure that they're part of this demo here, looking at the distance relationship here. I was reading in, I have a great book on forensic art about how eyebrows in the eye orbit socket help identify facial features. And the eyebrow typically follows the upper rim of the orbit that the eye sits in. And that's how you get a likeness, one of the ways that you get a likeness, right? And then inside here, I'm going to point on her. She's my daughter, so it's kind of fun. I can right inside here in the eye, there's this lovely divot, and it's worth just getting up close and looking even at yourself how the folds work around this area. And so I'm going to pull that out with a little bit darker value in here, just drawing in the shape as it tucks into this passage here on the side of the nose. I'm going to mark that down. I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. Okay, so this is a darker value in here, and then it comes down to the nose that way. All right, so that is fine that way. And again, I'm still just using that really thin mixture of the paint and the thinner. I'm going to use a little bit. If I want my color to be darker, I'll just add more ultramarine blue. My daughter, Abby, she's been my model. I've asked her to model for me since she was 5. So she's really good at holding very still. So I'm very excited. Can I talk about what you're doing? Okay. I'm going to miss her. My daughter is getting sworn in next week as an Army recruit. And so she's going to be going off next summer to boot camp, and before too long she will be serving our country. And I'm going to be a wreck. I'll miss my baby girl. Okay. All right, what I'm doing now is just laying in exactly where I see the iris. And a lot of times we don't see. It's important to just really observe where you see how much of the iris is actually there and how much is missing. It's different on everyone. Okay. Okay, so I think that's about the right direction. And I like how some of these shapes over here. Okay, now I'm going to start laying down some color pieces of paint in this area. And one of the things that I talk a lot about in the video that we just released here with Renaissance Creative Arts is brush strokes around the eye and around the face. Okay, a little bit of titanium white, and then just for a basic skin tone, I'll take just some yellow ochre and white. And this is just like my Caucasian skin tone. So taking yellow ochre and white, and now that I'm adding paint and color, I'm using more linseed oil, and I'm only using the Gamsol to clean my brush off. All right, so that is just my formula for your basic Caucasian skin tone, white and yellow ochre. Then I'll take just a touch of alizarin crimson. I could also take a touch of cad red medium to that mixture to kind of warm it up a little bit. All right, so just gonna look at her eye, and I'm squinting down. I like to start applying color with just a middle tone range. So I'm looking at her eye, and I see it about right in here, squinting. Where else do I see it? I'm gonna scoop this up, and I see it right in there. That's almost the color of the wood, isn't that? and then a little bit over here. Okay, I'm going to add, while I have this here, a little bit more white and the smallest touch of blue to that. And that's going to be the white of the eye while I have it here. I can make that brighter white and a little bit more shadow color when I get to that part. But for now, that's just kind of loosely laying that in. All right, now back into this mixture. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So I'm taking some burnt sienna. So that kind of gave me a little bit grayer skin tone mixture. All right, so grabbing a little bit of linseed oil into that, and now I'm going to just start putting this mixture down where I see sort of this grayer tone in here. I see it up in here, and then as the folds tuck around. You never want to rush any part of this process. Just take your time and go slow, and laying down simple, clean brush strokes. Okay, a little bit of, oh, I'm sorry if you can't see it. Oh yeah, maybe you can. Like this. And then I'm always using my brush strokes, again, in the angle that I see the shadows flowing around the nose and so forth. This. I see this strong shadow, sorry, I'm going to come right up here, on her face. If you can, yeah, you can kind of see that. It comes from there and it slopes that way. So I'm going to make my brush stroke go in that direction, okay? And then same thing with this eye. Because it's in the socket, there's a highlight right on the corner here where the orbital socket makes a turn. So that's a highlight, but then right where the eyeball starts to curve and go back right in here, there's a shadow there as it comes around the eyeball this way in the lower part. And we'll make that a little bit lighter. I'll grab some of that lighter tone that I had here. Just lay that down. I don't like to blend. I never do this blendy blend brush stroke. I like to lay down or mix up another value. So pick up more paint and lay that down that way. Okay, so now see, that's starting to have that feeling like there's shape to that under eye socket. Okay? All right, so now I'm gonna grab and make that a little bit darker. You can't see. Ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. We need more than that. And I always like to just paint my colors together. I rarely ever will take a palette knife and palette knife a bunch of different puddles because I find that this is a little bit more sensitive approach and I can more carefully monitor exactly what's going in and how much. So what I'm doing here is I've grabbed a little bit of alizarin crimson and yellow ochre into that darker mixture of blue and brown. And that is going to give me just a nice sculpting out of the little bit darker shadow range. If you remember, I did the light, medium, and dark so far of these values. I am going to go quite a bit darker as I start putting in the sharper accents and colors that I see in her eye, but for now, as I'm dealing with skin tones, I'm just dealing with light, medium, and dark. And then under her eye, we have a pretty strong shadow there. And then this has a nice darker in the shadow right here. Let's get that a little bit stronger. A little more blue, a little more brown. I don't know if you can see. Here we go. I'm about ready to pop in some of these nice dark accents of her like the eyeliner, the top lid, and the eyebrow and things like that. All right, so actually before I get rid of this brush, I'm going to put in the color of her iris. And Abby has these gray denim blue eyes. So it's almost this color that I already have here. I think I'm going to make a little bit more blue. I'm going to just make that dark color that I see first. A little bit of blue, a little bit of brown. Like that. And then I'm just going to paint in sort of a solid passage here, and into this I'll add more changes and variations. I'm not worried about her eyelashes and eyeliner at this moment. Right now I'm just trying to get the iris in place. And the bottom of irises are usually cut off. You don't usually see all the way around. That's if they're just looking straight on at you. But anyway. All right, I'm just going to cover over the iris or the pupil right now, maybe with just a little bit darker value. And I'm going to let this darker passage of the iris go all the way up to the lash line, because what we often don't see is that our lash line creates an entire shadow underneath, and it casts a shadow on the eyeball. And while I have this darker color on this nice chiseled, this is a size 4. Yeah, so I'm just taking this as a chiseled edge and putting in her crease. And that comes up, down. And I haven't put that piece of skin right there, but I will get that. Okay, let's do that. Grabbing back to my smaller brush, I'm just going to pull in a little bit more of that brighter highlight that I had. And if you're just joining, I make just a generic skin formula. I grab yellow ochre and titanium white, about equal proportions. Mix those, smallest touch of alizarin, and we're all set. So that is right in there. Because remember, the eyeball is round, so we're going to get a stronger focus of light hitting that round part. And we see it right in here too. Okay. Just going to lose some of this edge up here where it's blending into that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to just darken in some of the passages where I have the white of the eye. I just made it one solid color, so now I'm going to go through and just pull in a little bit more of that white, the variations in the white. So what do I have? I have my darker, this is just sort of that gray mixture that I had in the skin. I took my generic skin mixture of yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, and then I added a little bit of blue and brown. So. And then of course some white. And this just goes right along the top, and this whole corner, there's a triangle over here that's pretty much in shadow. I want to reshape that eye. And then as it comes around here. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to start jumping into some of the really darks. We're going to really see it start to pop now. I think I just want to get a smaller brush. That'll be fine. This is a size 2. I'm not really sure what it is anymore. I guess it's a filbert now. Ultramarine blue. I like to get a clean brush when I want to get a nice clean dark, because there are no contaminants in these bristles yet, no whites to infect that. All right, so let's get some of this accent, the accents around her eyes. This nice dark eyeliner as it comes up. Painting makeup is actually, it's quite a challenge to try to make it look natural. So it just takes a little bit of practice getting that to look and feel appropriate. Now, as this makeup line comes up and around and over to the light, it would look artificial if I just took black and went whoop. So I lighten up that black shade where the light is hitting it, right in here. And I did that. You saw me just take my brush and go like that, but I lightened up the pressure on the brush so it wasn't leaving such an indelible black mark. So it kind of lightened that passage in there. And then down below, this passage in here under her eye. Remember too, more ultramarine blue will darken it. And I'm also just kind of refining the overall shape of her eye. As sometimes when you're working on things, they tend to get a little lost or misshapen or whatever. Okay. We're going to lose this edge a little bit. And you can just suggest a few eyelashes by just taking your brush and going just a little right at the edge. And then I'll come back through and just darken that underneath. And then right here again, where the eyeball is meeting up with the eyelash, I want that to be darker. So it looks like the eyelashes are casting a shadow on the eyeball. All right, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to get her eyebrow in. Burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Let's do a little bit more sienna into that. And I want some linseed oil just to thin this down just a little. It's getting kind of stiff right there. Okay. And then it comes, the eyebrow is full of hard and soft edges. As it comes back and behind this side, you want this edge of the eyebrow to be softer because it's a turning place. If you made this like this and then this, it would look like it was drawn on with a brown Sharpie. So you want to make sure that this part here has a softer illusion. Let me just kind of lose this back here too. And then down here, the where the orbital eye socket has the plane turn from the temple, forehead right here and back. I always make this corner of the eyebrow a little bit sharper because it's just that turning point where there's a bone. Just losing a little bit over eyebrow there as it comes down. Gonna pull that up and around. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit of pinky tones in the eye. So a little alizarin crimson, like that, yellow ochre. That'll give me sort of like a darker, almost salmon color. Okay, and a little bit of white, yellow ochre. I'm going to get the little thing in the middle of the eye, the tear duct. Let's get some more of that. I see some more of it back in this part of the eye and down here. And I see wherever there's blood closer to the surface, I always make it a little bit warmer there in skin tone. So in this case, we often have spots on our face that are closer to here, our nose, our chin, our cheeks. The blood is, for whatever reason, really close to the surface. Whenever you blush or whatever, those are the spots that turn really red. So whenever I'm painting a portrait, I kind of try to enhance that a little. Like inside the nostril, I'll put a little dot of cad red. And so right here, where the eyebrow meets up with the flesh, I kind of put a little bit of red. It just makes it feel a little bit more human. A little bit down here as it's turning. Okay, I think that is sufficient for the redness. Now I'm going to come back in through to the eye now and just focus on some of the sparkles and details. All right, so look right at me. And I'm gonna try this. So I set my palette right here. I'm gonna zero in. All right, here we go. So I'm taking some, can you see? Oh great, this is gonna work out just fine. yellow ochre, a little bit of white, a little bit of ultramarine blue. And so the light is shining right here through her eye, and it's creating a more intense color note on this side because her iris is sitting like a bowl inside her eyeball, right? So as such, it's hollow, and so when the light comes through, it's going to hit this side of it. And so that's what we have going on. She has a little bit of this color on the side of her iris. So I'm going to add a little bit of the white and blue and yellow ochre to that. Okay, and then I'm going to mix up a brighter, cleaner, crisper color of that. I feel like I'm getting paint all over my face. Okay. Let's get some yellow ochre in there. That's better. That's better. So right next to the pupil, there's this much more brilliant color as it comes through. Let's get that nice and bright. Right in here. Okay. And then the iris rays, I just take my dry brush that's clean, wipe it off every now and then, and just like that. And then she has a dark line right along the outside of the iris, so I'm just going to get a darker blue with some burnt sienna. And it's an extension from what's going on up here. Up there. And then over here. Soften that area right there. It's very important that you make sure that the iris is perfectly round. You may not be able to see all of it, but what you do see needs to be absolutely round. Okay. And then I want this to be a nice, sharp, stronger black. Here now is I'm just going to take clean, pure white. And with her just looking at me, I'm just looking to see where I see just those few highlights. She's got one right here as the light is hitting the round part of that. And then there are some little small ones in there. Okay. Now another thing I'm going to do is I have just a white, but it's not really thick. And you just take it and you go from the white of the eye and you go over into the iris. So I'm going to go right here and go. I know you can't really see that, but I will show a close-up of this picture. And it creates the illusion of that eyeball is a socket. Or it's not a socket, it's a round sphere. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today on painting the facial features. Had a lot of fun doing this, and you know, I get a lot of requests from people about painting portraits, different aspects of painting, and so it's been really enjoyable putting together these different videos on painting different facial features. And we just launched our Painting the Portrait video with the workbook and getting really good response on that.
Yeah, so this is our new program. It is a one video lesson and a companion workbook. So it's, as she said, it's Painting the Portrait with Jessica Henry. This is the first of what will be a series of these portrait lessons. So as Jessica was just noting, A lot of people who've been following her and following what we're doing with Renaissance Creative Arts are not only interested in plein air painting or landscaping or studio work, but also portraiture.
All aspects of
All
painting.
aspects of it, right. So this is a very valuable program in terms of the content, not only the video, but also the workbook go through all kinds of step-by-step techniques. It's really to help you to be able to discover how to capture the likeness of your model, as well as the personality of the individual who's modeling for you.
I go into measuring and breaking down the steps into really simplistic approaches to portrait painting. And I take a lot of the complexity out of it, and just I think a lot of people feel really intimidated when they approach portraiture. And this is lesson 1, and so I'm breaking it down to very simple foundational steps. As we move through the different video series that we're planning, I'm going to be doing more painting from life and plaster casts and all kinds of different challenges that we face with portrait painting.
Different media being used.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What's also really exciting about this for us, having founded Renaissance Creative Arts, our goal is really to create what we're calling our Renaissance community of artists. And we want to give value in everything that we're doing. And so when you buy the program, as we said, it's only $127, but that's not all you'll get.
Right.
We're also going to give you 2 free bonus gifts. So if you go down below here, there's going to be some information and a link to our site as to where you can go and buy the program. We're selling it for $127 for the video lesson and the workbook. It's actually valued at $197, but in addition to that, you're going to get 2 free bonus gifts worth $144. So the first free bonus gift that you'll get is one of the lessons from our program that we launched last year, From Tuscany to Tipperary. So we're really excited about this because a lot of you who will buy the portrait painting are also interested in other studio types of approaches to art and practices. And this one is called Painting a Tuscan Still Life. So we thought this would be a very valuable thing for you to have.
A lot of comparable information in there. It's really good stuff.
So this is a video lesson of over 26 minutes and the companion workbook of 46 pages. So we're selling this separately for $97 on our site. And the second free bonus you're going to get with the program is called Oil Painting Materials with Jessica Henry. This is a 30-minute video lesson, and it's sold separately for $47. So for $127, you're getting a program that's valued at $197 with the painting of the portrait lesson and workbook. You're getting 2 free bonus gifts worth $144. So when you add all of that up, that comes to $341 of valuable art instruction that you're getting for only $127. So your total savings is around $244. So we want to encourage you to take a look below here. There's information that we've posted on the program. There's a link to our site. You can get all of the information there on the site, and you can see how to order that to be able to get your program, Painting the Portrait with Jessica Henry, and your 2 free bonus gifts. So we look forward to you joining the Renaissance community and learning from the instructional programs that we're doing. And we're just really glad you joined us today as well. Thanks
so much, guys. Hi, everyone. Jessica Henry here. Today I am sharing with you just a very brief 1.5-minute video on what this portrait video is all about. I will be covering all these different topics, from laying the foundation to measuring to working from photos, capturing a likeness, and discussing values, all these other areas pertaining to portraiture. And so just wanting to give you a heads up that your time is running out to get the reduced price. I think that you will find that not only are these lessons excellent for portraits, but you can take these concepts to any other discipline. As is the tradition with Renaissance Creative Arts, we will be offering a workbook to go with the video, and the workbook will contain all of these topics as well as in-depth look into each concept. And so it's an excellent deal because it's not just the hour-and-a-half long video, but it's also a full workbook taking you along on this whole journey of portrait painting and explaining everything in thorough detail. The release date for this video is January 19th. You have until midnight on January 19th to get the $97 price. For the video and workbook after that, for both, it goes up to $127. RenaissanceCreativeArts.com. Thanks so much. Happy painting.